Everyone, to the Puck Drops here. This is Peter Fivefoot, and a brand new video coming up right now about the NHL playoffs and the predictions I have for them. The Stanley Cup playoffs, which will start tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, between the Capitals and the Bruins from Washington for the first time since 2012. Those teams battle, and the entire Stanley Cup playoffs, which will extend into the summer, and then the lifting of the Stanley Cup in late June, early July is the extended season. So I have some predictions on that. But before we get into any of that, please subscribe to this channel. You just hit that down below. Like, send this video to all of your friends. Share it, like it, subscribe, comment. It helps the algorithm. All of that will positively help my channel, and then we can start getting into more and more videos as the season goes on. And the more followers I have, the more subscribers I have, the more likes and hits my content gets, the easier and better it is for me to make videos and eventually be able to support the channel in other ways with all types of sponsorships and all that. So you guys started off with some of the subscriptions and likes and all that. That helps my channel, so I appreciate it. Now let's get down to business. Here are the playoff matchups of the teams. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Islanders for the first time in the first round. Also, this will be all playoff predictions, everybody. This is going to be every game, who's going to score, all that, for the first round, second round, third round, and then the conference final. The third round has an interesting setup, and I'll explain how it goes once we get there. But in the first round, again, in the East Division, also, before we get to any of that with the divisions, how it works for divisions is there are 4 divisions. East, which compose of Buffalo, Boston, Islanders, Devils, Rangers, Capitals, Flyers, Penguins. That's it. I believe I said all the teams, unless I missed anybody. And then you have the Central, which composes of the Panthers, also Buffalo, if I didn't say it. The Panthers in the Central, the Lightning, the Hurricanes, the Predators, the Stars, the Red Wings, the Blue Jackets, and Chicago. And you've got the Canadian North Division, which is all the Canadian teams. Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Winnipeg, Vancouver, Edmonton, and the Calgary Flames. And in the West Division, you've got Vegas, Arizona, Colorado, Minnesota, San Jose, LA, Anaheim, St. Louis, and I believe that's it. Yes, that is Colorado, if I didn't say that as well. Now, getting back to business. The Pittsburgh Penguins in the East Division, they are the first playoff matchup. The Penguins face off again, and also the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Islanders, who have played multiple times in the playoffs. Before the 1970s, they played. The Islanders had 0-3, were down 0-3. They were one of 4 teams, the Maple Leafs, the LA Kings, and the Philadelphia Flyers are the others to come down from 0-3 down and win a series, obviously in 7. The Islanders ended up playing the Penguins in the 93 conference semifinals, when the Penguins had the best record in the league and had one of the best offenses the league had ever seen, and lost to a New York Islander team without their star forward Turgeon, and in seven games in sudden death overtime, thanks to the powerful stick of Dave Steckel. Or no, excuse me, not Dave Steckel. My mind is completely lost here. No, not Steckel. Steckel wasn't in the league yet. Beckel. He had the overtime winner for the New York Islanders. And then in 2013, the Penguins won in 6, and Brooks Orpik had the double overtime goal, his second ever overtime playoff goal, first at that time, to send the Penguins to the second round. A series where the Penguins were the far superior team, but they did lose in 6 games because the Islanders pounced on Marc-Andre Fleury's poor goaltending. And then the last time they had met, all the way back in 2019, a few years ago, the Islanders suddenly swept the Penguins out of the playoffs. And the Penguins did not score many goals that series, and the Islanders really blitzed them. The Bailey line was superb. But it's a new year where the Islanders slump to end the regular season after a great start to the regular season, but are in the playoffs as the 4th seed. And the Penguins, who started badly, end up winning the division and having one of the best records in the NHL. Their first division win since 2014, when they lost in the semifinals in 7-2. The Islanders' city brethren, the Rangers. But it'll be the Islanders and the Penguins. So game 1, here's how it'll go. It's on Sunday, May 16th. It's a noon game, so it'll be this Sunday. I said the Penguins win it 3-2. The game-winning goal, or goals for the Penguins in that game, are going to be Gensel, Carter, and then the game winner will go to the captain, Sidney Crosby. 2 goals by the New York Islanders. Going to be Bailey and Clutterbuck. Then game 2. The Islanders face off against Pittsburgh. Islanders will tie this game 2-1, and an overtime victory for the New York Islanders. Also for goaltenders, it's going to be Yari and Varlamov, I think, all series. This is on Tuesday, and the Islanders will win this game, as I said, 2-1 in overtime. The only Penguins goal is going to be Brian Rust. The Islanders get the tying goal in the second period. A goal by Kyle Palmieri, and the overtime game winner is going to be a shot from the blue line by Nick Leddy. Game 3 on Thursday, Islanders take a 2-1 lead in the series with a 4-3 win for the New York Islanders. Islanders are going to get goals. I'm actually going to switch from just naming all the players' goals, because that's a tough stretch, to just telling you the game winner. 4-3 in overtime. 4-3 in overtime as well. This is another overtime game. And the game winner for the New York Islanders, it's going to be Bailey again against the Penguins. Game 4, the Penguins win it 3-0, a shutout against New York. They shut the Islanders out of the playoffs, out of the game 4 on Saturday, next Saturday, on an NBC game, May 22nd, and the Penguins win it 3-0. The game-winning goal going to be Evgeny Malkin. Game 5 on May 24th, we don't know the time, but if there is a Game 5, and I believe there will be, the Islanders will win 3-1, and the game-winning goal there is going to be Pelech. Then the Islanders wrap it up in Nassau Coliseum. The raucous crowd will be ready for them. Game 6 against the Pittsburgh Penguins. A 5-3 victory for New York. And the game-winning goal there is going to be Pajot. And the Islanders will force handshakes, and the division winners are going to be out in the first round. Now for the other matchup in the East Division. So the winner would play the New York Islanders. The Capitals and the Bruins. The Caps win it 2-0 in Game 1. Game-winning goal, Oshie will get it, Game 1. In Game 2, the Caps win 4-3 in double overtime, and the game-winning goal goes to the former Penguin Sprong. So the Caps go up 2-0 and head to Beantown. Bruins win 4-1. Game-winning goal there. Jake DeBrusk, and that's on Wednesday, May 19th, Game 3. Monday is Game 2. This Saturday, tomorrow, is Game 3 right after the horse race. So it's 7:15, but it's probably going to be like 7:30 to start. That's Game 3. As I said, the Bruins win 4-1. On Friday, May 21st, in Game 4, the Bruins will win 3-2. And the game winner there going to be Patrice Bergeron. In Game 5, Boston wins it 5-4. It's not an overtime win, but the goal happens with 1:06 left on the clock for the Boston Bruins. They win it with the game-winning goal by Pastrnak. And in Boston, the Bruins finish it off 5-1. Corrali gets the game-winning goal, the series-winning goal for the Boston Bruins, and they force handshakes, meaning the Bruins and the Islanders, the two top teams in the division, will be golfing, and the Bruins and the Islanders will have Game 1 of their second-round series in TD Garden. But we'll get to that later. To the Central. The top team in the division with the third-best record in the league, behind Vegas and Colorado. Carolina, if there were still conferences, because there aren't this year, that's another thing. There aren't real conferences, just division and then seeding. We'll look at that in a little bit. They would have the best record in the East, if the East was still around. Although, you can tell they're not, because their playoff foe is not an Eastern Conference team, it's a Western Conference team, because they're in the Central. That's Nashville. So Carolina and Nashville. Carolina wins 3-1. 4-1. 4-1. Game-winning goal will be Svechnikov's. Predators and Hurricanes. Predators win it 4-0, and the game-winning goal goes to Roman Josi. Game 3, Hurricanes win 4-2 in Nashville, with the game-winning goal going to the captain, Jordan Staal. Game 4 is a 5-2 victory for the Carolina Hurricanes. Slavin gets the game winner, and in Game 5, the Hurricanes win it 2-1, with the game-winning goal going to Trocheck, and the Hurricanes eliminate Nashville and go on to the second round. Now, the matchup that everybody's been waiting for. Also, I didn't note on some of the playoff histories. For Washington and Boston, these teams haven't met many times in their playoff years, but when they have, it's meant a lot. They've only met 3 previous times. Their first time was in the 1990 Eastern Conference Final, Washington's first ever Eastern Conference Final appearance, where the Bruins, who had the best record in the league, blitzed them and went to the Cup Final. A Cup Final they would lose to Edmonton, but they would beat Washington in the Eastern Conference Final there. They would later play them in the first round, where the Bruins were the underdogs, in a 6-game series loss that Boston would suffer to the Washington Capitals in round 1. Washington would beat the Bruins in that first round in 1998. They would later eliminate Ottawa in the second round, and then Buffalo, by Joy Juneau, who would later go to the Sabres the very next year, would get the overtime victory over the the Buffalo Sabres, and the Capitals would go to their first Stanley Cup final in franchise history. The second they've gone to 2 was their first, and they would get swept by the Detroit Red Wings, thanks to Chris Draper and a lot of great journeymen that were able to win a lot of hockey games there for the Detroit Red Wings in that Stanley Cup final. But the Capitals, en route to their first final, went against the Bruins. And the third time, the Capitals were the underdog again, but ended up this time beating the Bruins, having a series lead at times. But the Bruins would come back as being the number 1-2 seed in the Eastern Conference. They won a game 1-0 in overtime in Game 1. Then the Capitals won a game in Game 2 in overtime. Then the Caps built a big lead, but the Bruins came back in Game 3. Then in Game 4, the Caps built a big lead, and the Bruins never were able to really manifest anything. Scored a lot of goals on Tim Thomas. The Caps built an early lead, but then the Bruins came back, took the lead in Game 5, but then the Caps stole it on back in Game 5. In Game 6 in 2012, this is the 2012 series I'm talking about. In 2012, the Bruins would the Bruins would dominate for most of the game, but Ovechkin got a late game tire. But Tyler Seguin, who was not very good in the series, ended up scoring a big overtime goal to send the series to Boston. Uh, Capitals dominate for most of the game, but the Bruins get a banging puck that just slipped past Holtby that he should have had, and then in overtime, Joel Ward on a 3-on-2 pitches a puck past Tim Thomas to eliminate the Bruins, who not only were the 2 seed, but they were the defending Stanley Cup champions, and at that time, one of the only teams that really would have done some damage, had a better record than them, that they had faced in the final the previous year, Vancouver, was already done. So their list of who else would have home ice over them was quickly dwindling, but they would be eliminated by the Capitals. This is the 4th time the Caps and the Bruins would face, and I think the Bruins, who lead in the series, who are trailing the series 2-1, would tie the playoff series up of wins and losses against the Caps. Now, the Carolina and Nashville, these teams have never played in the playoffs. Carolina, who was a team from the 1980s, from 1980, the Hartford Whalers, but relocated to Carolina in 1998, and the 1997 and 98 season, and then you had the Nashville Predators, who became a team after the 97 and 98 season. These are young teams. The Carolina Hurricanes are exceptional team. They scored a lot of goals in the franchise's history. Though the Nashville Predators have been to a Stanley Cup final. Carolina has been to 2. They won 1, and this is Carolina's best team since that 06 team. In fact, this is the Carolina team in 06 had more points than this team, but I think if there was an 82-game regular season, they were doing the math that this Carolina team would have had more points. Probably the best team in franchise history they've ever had, and it's still an incredibly young team. But as I said, they win in 5. Now, on to Florida and Tampa Bay. The Battle of Florida. Florida's been around since the 93-94 season. Tampa Bay has been, since the 93-94 season as well, around. They both made the playoffs in their 3rd years of existence in the 1995-96 season. The Lightning losing in the first round of that series in, I believe, 6 games to the Flyers. The Panthers had a much better journey around things. They beat the Bruins in the first round in 6 games. They beat those very same Philadelphia Flyers that were the 1 seed that eliminated Tampa in 6 games in that first round, and in that second round beat the Penguins in 7 games in the conference final, and then got swept by the Avs in the Cup final. But they went farther. The Panthers, though, haven't won a playoff series since that. That's an interesting thing to note. The Panthers haven't won a playoff series in 25 years since they beat the Penguins in 7 games to go to the Stanley Cup final. They haven't won a playoff series. They've been in a couple great playoff series. They were a bounce of a puck in overtime away from eliminating the Devils in 2012. They could have gone to Game 7, but they didn't call a trip on Trocheck, on Tavares on Trocheck in a round that they lost. They were in the play-in technically last year. Oh, also we should note that I've been jumping a bit ahead. The Islanders our team that was in the play-in tournament last year, but ended up qualifying for the playoffs. The Penguins were in the play-in tournament, but did not qualify technically for the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Capitals and the Bruins were both 4 seeds. They automatically were in the playoffs. The Islanders got to the conference final. Penguins lost to the Canadiens in that play-in. The Capitals lost in the first round to the Islanders. The Bruins lost in the second round to the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Hurricanes were in the play-in and won, but lost in the first round to Boston in the playoffs. The Predators lost in the play-in to Arizona. They qualified to the play-in. Florida lost to the Islanders last year in the play-in. They didn't play well that series, but they've got Joel Quenneville, so it should be a much more experienced team. And the Tampa Bay Lightning were top seeds. They automatically qualified for the playoffs. They beat the Blue Jackets in the first round. They beat the Bruins in the second round. They beat the Islanders in the third round, and they beat the Stars to win the Cup. So 2 cups for Tampa, none for Florida. And yes, this is the defending champs. Now, finally, on to the game, the series. For Tampa and Florida. Florida will win this game 4-3. The game-winning goal is going to go to Jonathan Huberdeau. The Lightning will win 4-1 in Game 2. Killorn will get the game-winning goal, 3-2. The 3-1 win for the Lightning in Game 3. 4-1 win for the Lightning in Game 3. Game winner there will go to Cirelli. Game 4, the Panthers are going to tie it up with the game-winning goal there. In a really testy series, since we haven't had the Sunshine Rivalry, these guys have been at each other's throats all year long. There's been hits to the head, there were fights, there were everything. Patrick Maroon was getting involved with Brandon Montour, and I think it is going to be Mackenzie Weegar who gets the game-winning goal to tie the series. The Panthers go up 3-2 in Florida, with the game-winning goal going 4-3 win again. That's going to be Barkov who gets the game winner in the first round for the Florida Panthers. Sorry, I was looking at my phone trying to see the schedule. That's on the Thursday. That would be Game 5 would be on a Monday, actually, May 24th. Then in Game 6, the Lightning win it 4-3 in overtime. The game-winning goal going to be Hedman. He tips the puck, and we go to Game 7, and 4-0 out of nowhere. Give it 4-1. 4-1, Florida wins. Finally, their first series win in 25 years. The Florida Panthers go to the second round, and the game-winning goal there is going to be Anthony Duclair. Although I think Verhaeghe will be a big presence in this game. So they go on to play Carolina. To the West Division, the President's Trophy winners. The team in the preseason I picked to win the Stanley Cup, the Avalanche, will go on to play the Blues, and on Monday, the Avs win it 5-0. Game-winning goal there is going to go to Andrei Burakovsky. Game 2 between the Blues and the Avalanche, which is a big game, of course. That will go to the Avalanche as well, 4-3 in overtime, and McKinnon gets the overtime goal in Game 3. A 3-2 thriller. It's going to be an epic game, and the game winner is going to go for the Colorado Avalanche to Nazem Kadri. And in Game 4 on Sunday, May 23rd, the Avalanche sweep the Blues out of the playoffs. A 3-1 victory thanks to the stick of Gabriel Landeskog. So they win this game. Another tip, they win this game and they sweep the Blues out of the playoffs, and Vegas against Minnesota. Golden Knights on the Game 1 win it 4-3. In overtime, Marchessault gets the winner. Minnesota, a 4-2 victory in Game 2 to tie the series. They get the game winner there by Jonas Brodin. Game 3, 3-2, double overtime. Minnesota on top thanks to Kirill Kaprizov, who gets the overtime winner. And a 4-1 victory, 4-0 victory in Game 4. 4-0, not 4-1. 4-0 victory in Game 4 by the Vegas Golden Knights. Riley Smith gets the game winner. And in Game 5, the Vegas Golden Knights win again, 4-2. The game winner there for Vegas goes to Mark Stone. In Game 6, a 6-0 bashing against Fleury, pulling them. The Minnesota Wild, the third winningest goalie in NHL history behind Patrick Waugh and Marty Brodeur, the Wild chase them with the game-winning goal there going to Jordan Greenway. In Game 7, a 5-1 victory, 4-1 victory for the Minnesota Wild. 4-1 victory goes to Eric Sinek, and the Wild win it in 7 games and go to the second round against the Avs. Okay, to the East again, the Islanders and the Bruins. These teams haven't played often in the playoffs, but they've played a couple times. The last time they've played the playoffs was what was essentially the Eastern Conference Final. It wasn't called that, but back in 1984, the Bruins and the Islanders. The Islanders beat the Bruins in sudden death in Game 7 to head to the Cup Final. They would lose to Edmonton, their final Cup Final that they've been to in franchise history so far. The Islanders and the Bruins in round 2. The round 2 schedule isn't up yet, but I'm going to make the predictions obviously anyway. In Game 1, the Islanders win 4-0. Game winner goes to Jean-Gabriel Pageau, who they know especially from the Ottawa playoff series when Boston was there. In Game 2, the Bruins tie the game and tie the series with a 4-3 overtime win thanks to the stick of Brad Marchand. Game 3 comes along. Bruins take a 2-1 lead in the series with a 2-1 win thanks to Jake DeBrusk again. Islanders tie the series at 2. Game 4 thanks to a wrister shot by Kyle Palmieri. He gets the game winner there for the Islanders. Game 5, New York wins 5-4 thanks to Jordan Eberle. Game 6, the Bruins win it 3-2. Game winner there goes to Bergeron, and the Islanders win in Boston 4-1, and the game winner for the New York Islanders for the first time, Matt Barzal. And so they go to the conference final. We'll explain how the conference final works later. In the Central, Carolina and Florida. Unbelievably, these teams have never met in the playoffs. In fact, if Carolina wins, and actually unbelievably, if Nashville or Carolina wins, neither of those teams have played the Floridian teams in the playoffs. It would be a new playoff matchup in the second round, whatever we get. And if we do get Carolina, Florida, the top 2 seeds, not only are they the top 2 seeds, but they're 2 of the top 2 teams in the 4 in the division. Obviously, as you said that, 2 of the top 2 teams in the 4 best teams in the league. And if we had still conferences, they would be the number 1 and number 2 team respectively in the Eastern Conference. The Carolina, and interestingly enough, they'll be in different divisions next year because Carolina goes back to the Metropolitan and Florida goes back to the Atlantic. I think they'll be very good. Still working on it. Carolina and Florida. Game 1 from Raleigh. Hurricanes lose 3-2. And Huberdeau again gets the Game 1 winner. It is Aho with a 4-3 win for the Hurricanes in overtime in Game 2 to tie the series. In Game 3, the Hurricanes take a 2-1 lead in the series. Again in overtime, thanks to Svechnikov with a 2-1 win, a 3-2 win, and then a 4-3 overtime win in Game 4 to tie the series thanks to Brandon Montour from the circle. Believe it or not, the defenseman shoots there and ties the series. Game 5, Panthers with a 5-3 win in Carolina thanks to Barkov. And in Game 6, a 1-0 win in Game 6 And the goal that's going to be scored, it's going to be, believe it or not, going to be Owen Tippett, who gets the only goal of the game in the second period, and the Panthers eliminate Carolina, just like what happened in 25 years. And I do love the Panthers, but I'm not being biased. They will go to the conference final against, well, we'll see. I know who they'll play, but, oh my god, we completely forgot the North Division first round matchups. Okay, so I'm completely behind, but let me finish up the West Division second round matchups, and then we'll get to the North Division first round matchups. I completely forgot about that. But in the West Division second round, you've got the the Minnesota Wild and the Colorado Avalanche. And these teams have played 3 times, with the Minnesota Wild with a 2-1 lead there. They won in 7 games in overtime in 2003. They won in 7 games in overtime in 2014. And they lost in 6 games in 2008. And the Wild actually had the Wild finished much better than the Avalanche in the year they actually lost the playoff series than the 2 years they finished. They finished as the 6th seed. Well, the Avalanche were the 3 seed. The Avalanche won the division in 2003. 2013, they weren't really seeds like that. Obviously, they had 2014. This was the first year with the divisions set the way they were, but they were a wild card, and the Avalanche won the division. So it's basically that spot where the Wild were the 3 seed and the Avalanche were the 6 seed. The year that the Avalanche won the series. In this year, the Avalanche have the best record in the league. The Avalanche have the 1 seed in the division, but the Wild have the 3 seed in the division. So they're not too far off. Avalanche win in Game 1, 4-3, thanks to Landeskog. In Game 2, the Minnesota Wild win it, thanks to Kaprizov, 4-3. Game 3, Minnesota Wild win. Eric Sinek is the first goal of a 4-0 Minnesota win. In Game 4, the Avalanche tied the series with a 4-3 overtime victory thanks to Andrei Burakovsky. In Game 5, the Wild pull out some magic with a 4-2 win over the Colorado Avalanche in Denver. The game-winning goal there is going to go to Rico Sturm. The Avalanche win 3-0 in Game 6. Game-winning goal in St. Paul is going to go to Nathan MacKinnon. And in Game 7, Makar gets a 4-1. He gets the second goal and a 4-1 win over the Minnesota Wild. The Avalanche win in 7 games against the Minnesota Wild and go to the conference final. So obviously we said we have the Avs in the conference final. We have the Panthers in the conference final. We have the Islanders in the conference final. Who goes out as the Canadian teams? Let's get to the first round. Toronto and Montreal. Toronto and Boston is the greatest rivalry, or at least the most storied rivalry when it comes to hockey. Or Toronto and Boston, excuse me. I say Toronto and Montreal. Montreal and Boston is the most storied rivalry. When it comes to that, the Canadiens and the Bruins, there's nothing like that. But it's not the oldest rivalry in hockey, and one of the oldest rivalries in sports that rivals the Red Sox and the Yankees for its longevity. Toronto and Montreal, the biggest hockey cities on the planet and in Canada. And I have to realize that these teams battled for a good 6, 7, 8 years even before there were even teams in the United States. And then even teams in the NHL in the United States. That's how old this rivalry is. But they have not played since 1979 in the first round when the Canadiens swept the Leafs out of the playoffs en route to their Stanley Cup victory over the New York Rangers. Montreal and Toronto. So for this game, Toronto wins it 3-2 Game-winning goal goes to Joe Thornton, of all people. Joe Thornton. 4-1 in Game 2. Maple Leafs take the 2-0 series lead. And it's Spezza, another veteran, with the game-winning goal. And the Canadiens in triple overtime. Triple threat. Caulfield again against the Leafs. Gets the Canadiens into the series. The Leafs win it, though, 4-2 in Game 4. Morgan Rielly gets the game winner. In Game 5, the Canadiens with a 3-0 win in Toronto. Game-winning goal there is going to go to Nick Suzuki. And then in Game 6, a 5-1 thumping in Montreal in the Bell Center. The Maple Leafs force handshakes against the Canadiens with the game-winning goal by Austin Matthews. He finally comes through. So they go to the second round. The Maple Leafs, their first time in the second round since 2004 when they eliminated another Canadian team that they have history with, the Ottawa Senators, in 7 games. But the Leafs beat the Canadiens in 6 games. So for the Leafs, the Canadiens last time they won a playoff series technically was last year, if you count the play-in. If you really want to count a playoff series, it was 2015 when they eliminated the Ottawa Senators from the playoffs, where the Leafs haven't won a playoff series since 2006. Now, they haven't gone to the conference final since 2002. Let's see if they get there. The last playoff series in the first round that I actually missed, and I'm sorry I messed it up, is a rivalry that is always skipped over but actually has a lot of history. It's Edmonton and Winnipeg, and these teams have fought a lot this playoff year, this regular season into the playoffs. They don't like each other. The Oilers have had the Jets' number, and Edmonton does have the best player in the league. I don't want to hear it. It's like Patrick Mahomes in football. You may like whoever football player you think is the greatest, and they may win these championships and whatever, but you know athletically and you know everything right now, Mahomes is the greatest NFL player. Same thing for McDavid. The things he does, nobody will ever do. Connor McDavid, he's not the best player ever, but right now he's the best player in the league, and it helps when you have him with his mind, his skills, his athleticism. He's just so good at playing hockey. So the Oilers, fittingly, get a 3-2 win thanks to Connor McDavid in Game 1. In Game 2, the Jets, 4-3 in overtime. Kyle Connor, the Jets tie the series. In Winnipeg, the Jets get an OT goal, and I just had to do this because to me it would fit so well, by Neil Pionk. And the reason Neil Pionk is, imagine Pionk standing at the blue line firing a sharp wrister in with the number 4 for the first time since 1990 that the Jets and the Oilers have played a game in Winnipeg in the playoffs, looking like Dave Ellett, who scored that Game 3 overtime winner to give the Jets a 2-1 lead in the series, and 31 years later, wearing the same number in the same city, I think Neil Pionk does it for the Jets. The Oilers win 4-1 in Game 4, though. It's Nugent Hopkins with the game winner. A 6-4 win by Edmonton in Game 5 thanks to Leon Draisaitl. The Jets come back in the third period down 2-1 to win 3-2 thanks to Blake Wheeler in the third period. And in Game 7, a 5-4 absolute thriller. And the game-winning goal is going to go to who else but Juju Correa. Yep, not McDavid. Or Correa, I say Correa. He gets the game-winning goal for the Edmonton Oilers to eliminate the Winnipeg Jets and head to the second round against Toronto. So now Toronto and Edmonton. In that, Edmonton, the Toronto Maple Leafs take a 1-0 lead in the series thanks to John Tavares. 4-2, Leafs win. In Game 2, the Oilers win it 3-2 thanks to Draisaitl again. In Game 3, it's a 4-3 Toronto win thanks to Zach Hyman. In Game 4, Edmonton wins it 5-2 the game-winning goal there is going to go to Ethan Bear. In Game 5, Oilers win it 2-0. Thanks to McDavid gets the game winner. And in Edmonton, they wrap it all up with a 3-1 victory. Thanks to Tyson Barrie. Gets the game winner. And the Edmonton Oilers go to the conference final. Now, here's how the conference final works, guys. Here's how the conference final works. The conference final works in this way. The number one team in each division, the team that comes out in each division, is seeded not in a conference final type way, East versus West, but in the way they were seeded. So the best team in the regular season that came out of that division will get the 1 seed, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 3, then 4. Kind of like if you watch American college football, a college football playoff. So in this first division, Colorado, they'll get the 1 seed no matter what because they won the President's Trophy. But like, for an example, Carolina at the number one, the 1 seed. Even if the Avalanche couldn't get out, they could have gotten the 1 seed. But it just goes on teams that came out. So I have Colorado coming out. But let's say St. Louis, who has one of the worst records out of any playoff team, comes out of the division. Even though they come out of the division that did an incredible amount of winning with all the points they got between Minnesota, Vegas, and the Colorado Avalanche, they would not get the 1 seed. They would be 4 because of their record. So here's how I have everything going up for the conference final. With the 1 seed, Colorado, obviously, as they won the President's Trophy. With the 2 seed, the Panthers, so high that they would be. So you couldn't get a 96 Cup final. I'll tell you if there is. 3 seeded would be Edmonton. The Oilers find themselves also in the conference final. The Avalanche are in the conference final for the first time since 2002 when they lost in 7 games to the Red Wings. The Florida Panthers are in the conference final for the first time since 1996. They beat the Penguins in that conference final. Who I have out in Canada, you know, Edmonton. They haven't been to the conference final since 2006 when they beat the Anaheim Ducks to go to the Stanley Cup final. And the Islanders, who haven't been to the conference final since last year. This would be their second straight conference final meeting. They lost to the Lightning last year in the conference final. What I picked initially in the preseason to be the Stanley Cup final ends up being one of the conference final series. The Islanders and the Avalanche. And just like a real conference final, these are 7-game series. In Game 1 goes in overtime, and Bailey gets the winner for the Islanders 3-2. In Game 2, the Avalanche tie it. The series with a 4-0 win thanks to Landeskog. In Game 3, the Islanders don't win. The Avalanche win 4-1. Kadri gets the game winner. 5-3 game winner in Game 4. The Avalanche take a 3-1 stranglehold in the series thanks to Jonas Donskoy. And in 5 games, Cal McCarr gets his second game winner. This goes in overtime. 4-3. And the Avalanche eliminate the Islanders and head to the Stanley Cup final for the first time in 20 years since 2001. In the other sector of the conference final, Edmonton plays Florida. The Oilers win 4-2 in Game 1 thanks to Draisaitl. The Oilers win 2-0, 3-0 in Game 2 thanks to McDavid. The Panthers win 4-1 in Game 3 thanks to Jonathan Huberdeau. In Game 4, the Oilers take a 3-1 stranglehold of the series. A 5-4 thriller, which is potted into the net. Potted into the net on a backhand by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with 30 seconds to go, giving the Oilers a 3-1 stranglehold in the series. 5-4 is the winner. A 4-2 victory by the Florida Panthers in Game 5 to force a Game 6 thanks to Montour. And in Game 6, the Oilers head to the Stanley Cup final. A 3-2 win thanks to Draisaitl again. We get to the Stanley Cup final finally. The Avalanche and the Oilers. The Oilers, who haven't been to the Stanley Cup final since 2006, The Avalanche, who haven't been in the Stanley Cup Final since 2001. The Avalanche haven't won the Cup since 2001. The Oilers haven't won the Cup since 1990. It's a 31-year wait for a Stanley Cup in Edmonton. It is a 20-year wait for a Stanley Cup in Denver. And the Avalanche win in Game 1, 3-2. Game winner there goes to McKinnon. In Game 2, the Avalanche win it 4-2, and the game winner there goes to Mikko Rantanen. In Game 3, the Edmonton Oilers win in overtime off a breakaway by Connor McDavid. In Game 4, the Avalanche win in overtime 2-1, thanks to Gabriel Landeskog. And in Game 5, a 5-4 third straight overtime game, a 5-4 double overtime thriller. Nazem Kadri pots the puck right off the back heel of Mike Smith to win the cup for the Avalanche. The Avalanche win the Stanley Cup in 5 games at Ball Arena in Denver. They lift the Stanley Cup. Landeskog lifts the Stanley Cup, and Nathan McKinnon gets the Conn Smythe Trophy. Your scoring leader is going to be Leon Draisaitl, but it's going to be Draisaitl who ends up losing on the handshakes ends of the ice. The Avalanche win the cup. Conn Smythe Trophy going to be McKinnon there. So just a quick refresher on the first round series. In the East, I have the Islanders beating the Penguins in 6. I have the Bruins beating the Caps in 5. I have the Panthers beating the Lightning in 7. The Hurricanes beating the Predators in 5. The Maple Leafs beating the Canadiens in 6. The Oilers beating the Jets in 7. The Avalanche beating the Blues in 4. The Wild beating the Knights in 7. In the second round, I have the Islanders beating the Bruins in 6. The Panthers beating the Hurricanes in 6. The Oilers beating the Maple Leafs in 6. The Avalanche beating the Wild in 7, and then in the conference final, the Avalanche defeating the Islanders in 5, the Oilers beating to go to the Stanley Cup final, the Oilers beating the Panthers in 6 to go to the Stanley Cup final, and the Avalanche beating the Oilers in 6 games in double overtime, thanks to Nazem Kadri. And the Conn Smythe Trophy again goes to Nathan McKinnon. Okay, there may be another video coming up soon about the lottery. Not the lottery, excuse me. The Seattle expansion draft when we get 32 teams in the league. So look out for that. But again, this has been great with my NHL Stanley Cup Playoff Predictions. Talking to you guys about all of that. And we'll see you in the future. Have fun. Enjoy the playoffs. And I'll see you soon. Happy hockey, everybody.